We're all being sold this really optimistic story about AI and the future of work, right? It's a story all about partnership, human potential, augmentation. But what if that story is actually a dangerous myth? What if it's hiding a much, much harsher economic reality? Well, today we're going to deconstruct that hype. So the common line is that AI is just another tool, like Photoshop for a designer or a calculator for an accountant. And it's a really seductive idea, isn't it? Because it puts us firmly in control. But this quote right here, it suggests a totally different relationship, a much more unsettling one.
And yeah, this really gets to the core of what we're talking about today. What if thinking of AI as just a tool is a massive, critical mistake? What if the real story here isn't about empowering workers, but about something else entirely?
Okay, so first up, let's talk about the story we're all being told. This is that persuasive but, let's say, incomplete narrative.
I mean, you know the talking points, right? AI is your creative co-pilot. It's going to augment human potential. And hey, all that domain knowledge you have, it's suddenly more valuable than ever. Your unique skills, that's your big advantage. And honestly, it sounds fantastic, but let's actually test that story against reality.
All right, let's dive into our first big theme, the myth of augmentation. And this is really where that popular story starts to fall apart when you look at the economic incentives at play. So, to really get this, we need to understand a key concept, labor compression. And look, this isn't about making workers better, it's about making them less necessary. It's a strategy. Sure, it's about reducing costs, but it's also about reducing a company's dependency on, well, us, on the unpredictability and the bargaining power of a human workforce. And that, of course, has a direct impact on job security and pay. And this really lays it out in black and white. The story we're sold is all about augmentation, empowering workers, making them more productive. But the reality, the real incentive, it's about replacement. It's about reducing costs, increasing control, and compressing that dependency on labor. You see, augmentation is often just a temporary stop on a much, much more profitable road to replacement.
So why does replacement almost always win out in the long run? Well, the logic is kind of brutal, but simple. An AI system, once it's built, can scale at almost zero extra cost. Humans? Well, we come with salaries and benefits, and we can be unpredictable. So from a purely financial point of view, human judgment becomes this luxury feature, something you only really need for the weird edge cases, or maybe just to have some legal cover. And this quote, it just cuts right through all the noise, doesn't it? Capital optimizes for labor minimization, not worker empowerment. It's a blunt summary of the entire system. The goal is not to make you more powerful, it's to get the job done with the lowest possible labor cost. That is an absolutely crucial distinction to make. Okay, next up, let's tackle that other big idea, the myth of the tool. This is all about the confusion between amplifying what we do and, well, absorbing what we do. So, past tools versus AI systems. Let's break it down. Think about something like editing software. It amplified your individual skill. It made you faster, more efficient, but it couldn't do the work for you. AI systems are a different beast entirely. They don't just amplify, they absorb. It's like, imagine an artist has a really unique way of blending colors. An AI can watch that, learn it, and then replicate that exact method, end to end, by itself. So what about that whole idea that your unique skills are going to save you? Well, here's how that advantage can just disappear. Step 1, you do something amazing, you combine ideas in a new way. Step 2, the system sees that. It observes and models your workflow. Step 3, your uniqueness gets baked into the next version of the system. And boom, step 4, your advantage is gone. It's the new baseline, and you're right back where you started. And this quote just nails it. Today's unfathomable becomes tomorrow's training data. It perfectly captures how temporary that creative edge really is. The very thing that makes you special and valuable today is exactly what the system is designed to learn, absorb, and turn into a standard feature tomorrow. And wow, that has some huge implications for pretty much all creative and knowledge work. Okay, so if AI isn't just a simple tool, and if its whole purpose is to absorb our skills, well, the next big question is pretty obvious, right? Who's actually in control here? This is about the power asymmetry. You hear this phrase thrown around all the time. The human is in the loop. It sounds great, right? Collaborative, like we have a say. But there's a massive difference between being in the loop and being in control. The reality is, often the human just becomes a compliance layer, a safety valve, a liability buffer,
Basically, you're there to be the legal fall guy for a decision the machine already made.
I mean, just think about the worker's actual position. You don't own the model, you can't change the system's objectives, you can't even audit the data it was trained on, you can't override its decisions. And the real kicker? You are actively competing against your own amplified output. Every time you use the tool, you're making it better at replacing you.
And that's the core paradox, isn't it? Leveraging a tool you don't own often accelerates your own displacement. By using these systems, by feeding them your expertise, you could actually just be speeding up the process of making your own job obsolete. That is a really tough pill to swallow.
So after breaking down all those myths, we get to the real disruption, the core flaw in the whole story.
Okay, so here it is. The real disruption isn't how work is done. It's about who holds the leverage once cognition itself becomes scalable. Think about it. For all of history, thinking was tied to a human brain. Now, for the first time, it can be scaled like a piece of software. And when that happens, the entire power dynamic between capital and labor flips on its head.
So, what's the solution? Well, this brings us to a corrected vision. It's about finding a path to what true augmentation could actually look like. And the path forward, according to the sources, requires some fundamental changes. For genuine augmentation to work, you need a few things. First, workers need ownership rights. Second, they need profit sharing and equity. Third, you need institutional bargaining power. Think unions. And fourth, you need real, solid legal protections and guarantees.
Because without those conditions, augmentation is just the soft transitional phase of replacement. And that might be the single most important thing to understand. Without a real rebalancing of power, augmentation isn't the end goal. It's just the friendly-sounding marketing term for the road to replacement.
So that leaves us with one last big question. Knowing what we know, knowing about the powerful incentives pushing towards replacement, is a future of true human-AI partnership a realistic goal? Or is it just a comforting myth we can't afford to believe in anymore? The answer to that is going to define the future of work for all of us.